She put a ring on my finger and said I was hers. The alien woman was serious. The translator's dilemma. Lucian Reed had never expected to be standing on the surface of Nix 7, the homeworld of the enigmatic Zerani people. The planet's atmosphere cast everything in a soft golden haze, making the towering crystalline structures of the capital city sparkle like ancient jewelry. He adjusted his translator badge, the only piece of Earth technology the Zerani had permitted him to bring to this sacred place. "Do not touch the translucent surfaces," instructed Admiral Talon, his Zerani escort. Her skin had a bluish undertone that seemed to pulse with bioluminescence when she spoke, and her eyes, 3 of them, arranged in a perfect triangle, blinked in an unsettling, asynchronous pattern. They respond to biometric signatures. "Sorry," Lucian said, quickly pulling his hand away from a nearby pillar. "I'm just fascinated by the architecture." Talon's expression remained unreadable, but the feathery tendrils framing her face rippled slightly, a sign of amusement according to the briefing materials he'd studied. Humans, always touching what they should not. Lucian had been selected for this mission because of his specialization in xenolinguistics, particularly his groundbreaking work deciphering the ancient Zerani pictographic language. The Zerani had only made contact with Earth 3 years ago, and relations had been cordial but distant. This invitation to attend their celestial alignment ceremony was unprecedented. "The elders await," Talon said, gesturing toward a massive doorway that seemed to be made of liquid metal suspended in midair. "You understand your role." "I believe so," Lucian replied, reviewing the instructions in his mind. "I'm to read the ancient text when presented, providing the traditional Earth response to create harmony between our worlds." Talon's central eye narrowed. "Precisely, do not deviate from the text." The chamber they entered was vast, its ceiling lost in shadows despite the glowing orbs that floated throughout the space. 12 Zerani elders stood in a perfect circle, their ceremonial robes shimmering with embedded gems that responded to the light. In the center stood a pedestal with what appeared to be an ancient scroll hovering above it. "The human reader approaches," announced an elder whose tendrils had silvered with age. "May the stars witness." "May the stars witness," echoed the others. Lucian stepped forward, suddenly aware of how alien he must appear to them. No tendrils, only 2 eyes, skin that didn't shimmer with internal light. He stood before the pedestal, and the hovering scroll unfurled itself, revealing characters that flowed and changed as he watched. "You will read," Talon instructed, her voice suddenly formal, "when the 3rd moon touches the spire." Through the transparent ceiling, Lucian could see the 3 moons of Nix 7 slowly converging. As the smallest moon aligned with a crystal spire that rose from the center of the city, the characters on the scroll stopped shifting. Lucian began to read, his translator badge working to convert the ancient symbols into sounds his human vocal cords could produce. "By stars ancient and new, by the void between worlds, I stand as bridge and beacon. May our paths intertwine through cosmic ages, bound by understanding and respect." The words seemed to hang in the air, glowing faintly before dissolving. The elders nodded in approval. "Now," Talon said quietly, "the response." Lucian had memorized the traditional response, provided by Earth's diplomatic team. "Earth acknowledges the stars that bind us all. May our civilizations grow together in peace." But as he spoke, something strange happened. The scroll pulsed with light and new characters appeared, characters he recognized from his research but hadn't expected to see. Without thinking, Lucian read them aloud. "My soul recognizes yours across the cosmic divide. I accept the eternal binding." The moment the words left his lips, the chamber filled with a blinding light. The elders gasped collectively, their tendrils standing straight out in what could only be shock. Talon stepped forward swiftly, her 3 eyes wide. "What have you done?" she whispered. Before Lucian could respond, the pedestal between them opened, revealing a small object that rose to hover between them. It was a bracelet, crafted from a material that seemed both metal and living tissue, pulsing with an internal light that matched the rhythm of his heartbeat. Talon reached for it with reverence and, before Lucian could react, clasped it around his wrist. The moment it touched his skin, it sealed seamlessly, becoming part of him. A strange warmth spread up his arm and throughout his body. "It is done," announced the elder with the silver tendrils. "The cosmic bond is formed." The other elders bowed deeply toward Lucian, which was definitely not part of the protocol he'd been briefed on. "Wait," Lucian said, looking from the bracelet to Talon. "What just happened? This wasn't in the briefing." Talon's tendrils rippled with what might have been embarrassment. "You read the binding vow. The words only appear to those whose souls are compatible for the deep union." "The what?" Lucian's heart raced. "I don't understand." "You are now bound to Admiral Talon," explained the elder. "It is the highest honor among our people, a bond of souls that transcends time and space." Lucian stared at Talon, who seemed as surprised as he was. "Are you saying we're married?" "Marriage is an inadequate term," Talon replied, her voice strangely gentle. "The cosmic bond is far more profound. Our life forces are now intertwined. We are one." The bracelet pulsed again, and Lucian noticed that a similar band had appeared on Talon's wrist, beating in perfect synchrony with his. "This is impossible," Lucian protested, though he couldn't deny the strange connection he suddenly felt to the alien commander. "I'm supposed to return to Earth next week. I have research commitments." "That is no longer possible," said the elder. "The bonded cannot be separated by great distances. It would cause immense pain, eventually leading to death." Lucian felt lightheaded. "You're telling me I can never go home?" Talon placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch unexpectedly warm. "Nix 7 is your home now, Lucian Reed, and I am your cosmic partner." The elders filed out respectfully, leaving Lucian alone with Talon in the chamber. He stared at the bracelet, trying to process what had just happened. "I don't understand how this happened," he said finally. "Why me? Why you?" Talon's tendrils moved slowly, thoughtfully. "The cosmic bond chooses for itself. It has been centuries since one has formed. Many believed it was merely legend. So neither of us had a choice in this. The ancient texts say the bond only forms when both souls silently consent, even if the conscious mind is unaware." She hesitated. "There must be something between us that called to the bond." Lucian looked at her, truly looked at her for the first time. Beyond the alien features, he saw intelligence, strength, and a vulnerability she was clearly uncomfortable revealing. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now," Talon said, her central eye meeting his gaze directly, "you begin your new life as part of the highest echelon of Zayrani society. As my bonded, you will have access to knowledge no human has ever seen, privileges no outsider has ever been granted." She paused. "And you will learn what it means to share a soul across species." The bracelet pulsed between them, a tangible reminder of their unexpected connection. "I need time to process this," Lucian said. Talon nodded. "Time we have, the bond is eternal." As they left the chamber together, Lucian couldn't help but wonder if some part of him had indeed consented to this strange union. He glanced at Talon, walking tall and proud beside him, and felt the bracelet warm against his skin in response to his thoughts. This was certainly not what he had signed up for when he accepted this diplomatic mission. But as the golden light of Nix 7's setting sun bathed them both, he felt a strange sense of rightness that defied all logic. Whatever this cosmic bond was, it had chosen them for a reason. And Lucian Reed, xenolinguist and accidental cosmic partner to an alien commander, would have to discover that reason one day at a time. Hearts across the stars. The crystal quarters assigned to Lucian were elegant, if disconcertingly alien. The walls shifted hues with his mood, currently a turbulent mix of purples and blues that matched his conflicted emotions. It had been 3 weeks since the unexpected cosmic bond had tied him to Admiral Talon, and he was still adjusting to the reality that he couldn't return to Earth. "The environmental settings have been calibrated to human physiology," said Jory, the small Zayrani attendant assigned to him. Unlike Talon's three-eyed configuration, Jory had two primary eyes and a smaller sensory node above them. "The honored Admiral requested specific accommodations for your comfort." Lucian nodded, running his fingers over the bracelet that now seemed fused to his skin. It pulsed with a gentle light, occasionally shifting in hue, especially when Talon was nearby, he'd noticed. "Thank you, Jory. When will the Admiral return from the Council meeting?" Jory's tendrils fluttered in what Lucian had learned was their equivalent of a sympathetic smile. "The tidal council often extends past its scheduled conclusion, but she sends this for you." The attendant placed a small crystalline orb on the center table. It activated immediately, projecting ancient Zayrani texts in a holographic display. "The histories of the cosmic bond," Jory explained. "From the archives normally restricted to High Elders, Admiral Talon thought you might want to understand." After Jory left, Lucian spent hours absorbed in the text, his linguist mind working overtime to process the nuances his translator badge sometimes missed. The cosmic bond, he discovered, was considered sacred, a rare occurrence that happened perhaps once in several generations. The text spoke of profound connections, shared dreams, and even the ability to sense each other's emotions across vast distances. "Well, that explains a few things," he muttered, thinking of the strange flashes of unfamiliar feelings he'd experienced, moments of fierce determination or carefully controlled anxiety that didn't seem to originate from his own mind. A soft chime announced Talon's return. She entered without ceremony, her official uniform exchanged for simpler attire that softened her usually imposing presence. "You've been reading," she observed, gesturing to the still active projection. "Trying to make sense of our situation." Lucian deactivated the orb. "Did you know this might happen when you brought me to the ceremony?" Talon's tendrils rippled in what he now recognized as embarrassment. "The possibility never occurred to me. The cosmic bond is half legend to most of my people. No off-world being has ever been chosen by it." She moved closer and Lucian felt his bracelet warm in response. "The Council is concerned. Some see our bond as an omen, others as a threat to Zayrani tradition." "And what do you see it as?" Lucian asked quietly. Talon's three eyes fixed on him with surprising intensity. "An opportunity, and perhaps a gift I had not thought to receive." The honesty in her voice caught him off guard. Since their bonding, their interactions had been formal, cautious, two strangers trying to navigate an intimacy neither had chosen. "The archives mention shared dreams," Lucian said hesitantly. "You've experienced them too." It wasn't a question. "Last night, the ancient battlefield on Zaren's southern continent." Lucian nodded. "I was there, but it wasn't my memory. I was seeing through your eyes, wasn't I? A military history education exercise." "From my youth training." Talon settled beside him, her proximity causing the bracelet to pulse more vibrantly. "I've experienced fragments of your Earth, a building with many shelves of paper books, a woman with silver hair." "My grandmother's library," Lucian said, surprised, "where I first became fascinated with languages." A comfortable silence fell between them, broken only when Talon spoke again, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "Tomorrow, we begin integration." Integration. The second phase of the bonding. We must learn to control the connection between us, to shield when necessary, to communicate when desired. She hesitated. "It's an intimate process." Lucian swallowed hard. "And if I refuse?" "You won't." The certainty in her voice wasn't arrogance, he realized, but something deeper, an awareness of him that transcended their brief acquaintance. "I sense your curiosity, Lucian. The linguist in you cannot resist understanding this new language between us." She was right, and they both knew it. The integration training began at dawn in a secluded chamber deep within the crystal towers. Elder Nivet, with silver tendrils that denoted great age, guided them through exercises designed to strengthen their bond while teaching control. "Your minds touch already," the elder explained, "but without discipline the connection is chaotic, disorienting. You must learn to open and close the pathways between you." Days blended into weeks as Lucian immersed himself in this strange new discipline. He learned to sense Talon's presence even when she was across the city, to distinguish her emotions from his own, and, most challenging of all, to send deliberate thoughts across their bond. Between sessions, Talon introduced him to Zayrani culture, not as a diplomat or observer, but as one entitled to participate. He attended council meetings at her side, where his unique perspective as both human and bonded became unexpectedly valuable in diplomatic discussions. "The humans misinterpret our time sense," he explained to skeptical council members during a particularly tense negotiation. "When you say soon, they expect days, not decades. It's not deception on either side, just fundamentally different perceptions." To his surprise, they listened. Talon's presence beside him radiated pride, a warmth he felt through their growing connection. One evening, as they stood on the observation deck watching Nix 7's 3 moons rise in sequence, Talon asked the question he'd been avoiding. "Do you still wish to return to Earth?" Lucian considered carefully before answering. "I miss certain things, coffee, rain, my grandmother's library, but—" He touched the bracelet which had become so familiar he sometimes forgot it was there. "What we're learning, what we're becoming together, there's nothing like this waiting for me back home." Talon's tendrils moved gently in the evening breeze. "The bond is forever, but your service to it is still a choice, Lucian. If you truly wish to return, we could petition the elders for a separation ritual." "Would it work?" "It's never been attempted," she admitted. "The texts suggest great pain, possibly lasting damage to both bonded individuals, but it exists as a possibility." Lucian studied her alien features, once so strange, now increasingly dear to him. Through their connection he sensed what the offer cost her: fear of loss, resignation to pain, and beneath it all, a growing affection she struggled to name. "And if I stay, what then?" "Then we continue as we have begun." She moved closer, her hand finding his. "Learning each other, serving together, building something unique in all the known galaxies." The 3rd moon crested the horizon, bathing them in silver light. Their bracelets pulsed in unison. "When I was selected for this mission," Lucian said softly, "they told me I'd be making history as the first human to participate in the celestial alignment. I don't think this is what they had in mind." Talon's laugh was a rare sound, musical and unexpected. "The universe seldom gives us what we expect, only what we need." "Is that Zayrani wisdom?" "No," she admitted, her central eye meeting his gaze directly. "That is simply Talon wisdom." On impulse, Lucian reached out, not with his hand but with his mind, sending a wave of warmth and acceptance through their bond. The sensation of connection was immediate and profound, Talon's consciousness meeting his in a moment of perfect understanding. "I choose to stay," he said, the words feeling like a vow. "Whatever this is between us, I want to see where it leads." Talon's response came not in words but in shared emotion. Relief, joy, and something deeper still, a feeling that transcended their different physiologies and cultures. As the 3 moons aligned perfectly in the night sky, Lucian Reed, once just a xenolinguist from Earth, embraced his new identity as half of the most unique cosmic bond in Zayrani history. The path ahead was uncharted, but for the first time since the bracelet had sealed around his wrist, uncertainty felt like adventure rather than fear. And beside him, Admiral Talon, his unexpected partner across the stars, stood ready to navigate that adventure together.